Hey, what's going on guys, and welcome to the video. Now the vehicle sitting behind me today is a beautiful 2010 BMW M3, and this is definitely a very unique vehicle as the entire car is wrapped in vinyl. So let's take a look around. Okay, so with the paint all covered up on this car, I'll have to change my approach a little bit to safely work with this vinyl, but overall the outside isn't all that bad and just has a thin layer of dust all over, although the tires are pretty dirty and haven't been cleaned for a while. And moving to the interior now, and it's quite a bit worse as there was apparently some ice cream spilled in here, along with what I'm guessing is melted chocolate in the back storage compartment. But aside from that, the driver's footwell is also pretty dirty, and there's really just either dirt or debris covering every surface in here. And then as the owner is going to be storing this car over winter, I'll also be getting this dirty engine bay fully detailed. But just before we jump into things, take a second and make sure you're subscribed to the channel and that you've got the bell on so you never miss out on a future video. Alright guys, well I am super excited to get started on this BMW today, and I'm going to thoroughly enjoy every minute of this detail, so let's get started. Alright, so as I start on the pre-wash rinse here, you'll notice that I'm not getting quite as close as I usually do with the pressure washer, and that's because, like I mentioned in the opening, this car is wrapped in vinyl, which requires a slightly different approach than regular paint, as it's more delicate and softer than paint is. So besides this tip, I'll cover a few other important things in this video that you should know if you're going to detail a wrapped vehicle, and make sure you stick around until the end of this video so you can see how incredibly good this car looks when I'm done. Now, despite this BMW having really tight clearance in the wheel wells, that certainly doesn't mean that I'll be any less thorough, though I will make sure to be as careful as possible, as it would be incredibly easy to get a little too close to the vinyl with the pressure washer. Moving up to the front wheels, and with this M3 having some big beefy brakes on it, they have the unfortunate ability to generate quite a bit of brake dust. So as I start to spray off inside the wheel, I definitely got a bit of a surprise as a massive amount of brake dust was hiding in there. So I'm making sure to get in nice and close and spray from different angles so I can make sure that I get it all out. Alright, moving to the underside now, and this was a first for me as the entire underside of this car is covered in the same material they use for carpeted wheel well liners. So the moment I started spraying, there was piles of dirt hitting the floor. This was by far the dirtiest area of the whole exterior, and if you're wondering why BMW would do this, it's to reduce road noise inside the car, and is exactly why other manufacturers use the material in wheel wells, but it definitely has its drawbacks. Alright, so getting the M3 covered in thick foam, and if you've ever thought about picking up a foam cannon, I definitely recommend the one that I use, as it's very inexpensive and has been working well for a few years already. So if you're interested, the link is down in the description for you. Okay, so moving to the wash stage now, and as usual, I'm using the 2-bucket method with grit guards in my buckets, and with this car being wrapped, I'm going to use my CarPro Reset soap here, as it's just a bit more of a premium soap and is something I would typically use on a ceramic coated vehicle. And with the vinyl being softer than regular paint, that means it can scratch or swirl easier, so taking as gentle an approach as I can with the 2-bucket method, a good pH neutral soap, and not using too much pressure on my wash mitt will ensure that the wrap stays looking perfect.
Hey man, so you actually started helping with that? Nice sign. It's crooked though. Whatever. Just don't break anything, okay? This car's expensive.
Alright, it's time now to tackle this dirty engine bay, and the first step here after disconnecting the battery, which happens to be in the trunk in this car, is to get the entire engine bay covered in some degreaser. And if you're wondering what I'm using here, it's just super clean degreaser in a spray foamer, and then after I've let that sit for a minute to help break down the dirt and gunk, I'll go over all the flat surfaces with my wheel brush and basically use this anywhere it will fit. Then I'll use my smaller Speedmaster brush to get down into all the tighter areas, and I'll also use a detail brush to get anywhere that I haven't gotten with the other two brushes. Now with everything clean, I'll go ahead and simply rinse down the entire engine bay, and it's important to note that you don't want to let your degreaser dry, so you definitely have to work quick. And if anyone is wondering why I do this after I've washed the vehicle, it's because if I did it first, a little bit of water would end up making its way underneath the hood when I pressure wash, so this way the engine bay stays perfect when I'm done, and it just takes a couple seconds to dry any water drips off the paint afterwards. Then with everything rinsed, I'll just quickly use my leaf blower to get rid of the majority of the water, and then simply finish drying things with a microfiber towel. Okay, with everything dry now, I'm using some CarPro Pearl this time for all the black plastics and hoses to dress them and really make this engine bay pop. And if you were wondering, this whole process usually takes anywhere from 15 to 20 minutes, as the degreaser really does most of the work for me. Moving to the rubber mats now, and after quickly spraying them off, I'll use some APC and my medium green drill brush to agitate and then just blast them clean. Now, as I finish removing all the personal items from the vehicle, I figured I'd point this out, but this piece of red vinyl here is obviously some leftover from when the car was wrapped, and basically it just comes in big sheets like this, and in terms of cost, at least around here, it'll set you back about $3,000 to $4,000 to wrap a car, so it's definitely not cheap. Now, as I work my way around the vehicle with the vacuum, I've always got my detail brushes with me, and in the back storage compartment here, it looks like there was some sort of incident with melted chocolate, so thankfully the detail brush was able to loosen up nearly all of it, which means that when I hit it with the steamer later on, there's going to be a lot smaller mess to clean up. Moving to the door now, and if any of you are curious as to what color this M3 is underneath the wrap, well, you can see on the inside of the door here that the car is black with a little bit of blue undertone, but I personally think the red suits the car better. Alright, so since these carpets aren't super dirty, I figured I'd just focus on the couple dirtier areas. And if you've ever wondered why I start with carpets, well, this is why. If the trim was already clean here, I would just have to repeat work. So being a work smart, not hard kind of guy, I've thought through all my processes to make sure I'm doing things in the most efficient way possible. Now as I make the first couple passes here, you'll see that that red stuff didn't budge with the drill brush, but the steamer is going to make real quick work of it in a little bit. Alright, so since I know there's lots of you out there that enjoy the extracting, and having found all the carpet floor mats in the trunk, I certainly wasn't going to leave those untouched. So while I extract them, I thought I'd give you a bit of background on the vehicle. And like I mentioned in the opening, it's a 2010 and has just a shade under 150,000 kilometers on it, or about 93,000 miles. And the owner actually just uses this as his summer car and is going to be storing it for the winter very soon, which was obviously the reason for the detail. But something else you might find interesting is that this isn't a very common vehicle around here. He actually had to buy it from a neighboring province, so it's pretty unlikely that I'll see another one anytime soon. Now, one thing I didn't mention earlier is that the carpet in this BMW was pretty good quality. Not the best I've ever seen, but still pretty good. And usually with floor mats, the carpet is actually super plush, even if the carpet inside the vehicle is terrible. So I found it pretty funny that this BMW had pretty good carpet inside and absolutely terrible carpet floor mats. Here's all the dirty water pulled out of the M3. Gross. Alright, so as I work my way around the car with the steamer, I wanted to give you a quick update on the Detail Geek AutoCare launch, and despite my best guesses for when my products would arrive at my warehouse and everything would be ready to go, the current environment in the US has caused a few delays, though the site should be going live very soon. And if you want to stay up to date on exactly when that happens, make sure you follow Detail Geek Auto Care on Instagram or sign up for the newsletter, as that's where I'll be telling people first. Okay, moving to the leather now, and after spraying on some Meguiar's D181 leather cleaner, making sure to pop open the thigh extension here, I'll use my horsehair brush to gently agitate, and the nice thing about this cleaner is that it foams up to let you know it's actually doing something, and then I'll simply wipe it off with a microfiber towel. Okay, last step here is to get some CarPro Pearl on the tires, and with it diluted about 2:1, it's going to leave a nice matte black look when it dries. All right guys, and 9 hours later, and the M3 is looking super sexy again. Now, I thoroughly enjoyed working on this car today, and have to say I'm loving the wrap on this car. It looks really good. Now, if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you smash the thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, enjoy the guitar outro, and I will see you guys in the next one.